Om Namo Venkateshaya. Shuklambaradharam Vishnum Shasivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavathanam Dhyayet Sarva Vignopashanteye Vyasaya Vishnurupaya Vyasarupaya Vishnave Namo Vai Brahmanide Vasishtaya Namo Namaha. Smarana Matrena Janma Samsara Bandhanat Vimuchete Namastasmi Vishnave Prabha Vishnave Lakshmi Nata Samarambam Nate Amuna Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Partaya Pradibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Gratitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamritavarshiniim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayinim Ambattvamanusandatami Bhagavad Gite Bhavadveshinim Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Om Namo Venkatesaya. We pronounce everybody. We are at the end of chapter 7, Jnana Vijnana Yoga. So where Bhagavan is saying that, Mam tu Veda Kashya, Mam Tuna Veda Kashya, that means nobody knows me very well. I know all of them, their past, present, and future. The reason being, they are under the spell of Maya, the Dvanda Mohaha, that is the getting involved in the pairs of opposites, as well as this this Raga Dvesham, that is the excessive attachment, as well as the, this hatred. These are the things which they get it right from the birth. So is there a solution? Yes, if people perform the punya karmas, they slowly get out of this, this Dvanda Moha, and then they start worshipping the Bhagavan. Jara Marana Mokshaya, Mama Ashrite Yatantiye, Te Brahma Tadvidhu, Krishnam Adhyatmam Karma Chakilam. That means when they start performing this, the worship of the Bhagavan, and then taking Bhagavan as the shelter, when they make those efforts for the sake of getting relief from this old age and then the death, which is of course the disassociation of this body. They come to know about the Brahman, they come to know about their Atma, as well as the entire universe. The Karma Cha Akilam, that means the entire activity of this entire universe, they come to know the true nature of that. So let's move on to the last sloka, sloka number 30.
Sadhi bhutadhi daivam mam sadhi yajnam chaye viduhu prayana kale pichamam devi duryukta chetasaha.
So Bhagavan is talking about three technical terms. Of course, he's going to explain it in the next chapter when Arjuna is going to ask that, but we'll briefly we understand what it is. Sadhi bhuta adidevatam mam sadhi yagyam cha ye viduhu. That means Sadhi bhuta. Bhuta means these panchabhutas, and also the jivatmas are also called as panchabhutas because where this entire physical body is made up of this panchabhuta. So therefore, adi bhuta. Adi means one is going beyond that. So adi gacchati means one goes beyond that. Adi bhuta, which is beyond the bhutas. That means Bhagavan is the person who is beyond these panchabhutas. Know me as the person who is beyond this panchabhutas. Sa adi bhuta. Adi Devam. Adi Devam is the Devam is all this, this gods like Varuna, Indra, then this Yama, all those things are all Devatam. All this, I'm beyond that. So Adi Devam means I'm beyond all these Devatas also. Mam, that means know me as that one is beyond this Panchabhutas, beyond these Devatas. Sa Adi Yagyam. I'm also beyond these various Yaga Yajnas which are being performed. And the ultimate person to be reached through this Yajna is also Bhagavan. And therefore, I'm beyond this Yajnas also. Sa Adi Yagyam. That means those people who know me to be the person who is beyond this Panchabhutas or this Jivatmas, who is beyond this the Devatas like Indra, Varuna, all these things, and also beyond these various Yaga Yajnas that are being performed, who know me to be the person who is beyond that. Prayana Kale Picha Yam. That means Yukta Chetas, that means they are always getting united with the Jivatma. Chetas is the consciousness. So they get Yukta means getting united. So always united with the Jivatma. They know me to be the person who is beyond the Panchabhutas, beyond the Ati Devatas, beyond the this Yaga Yajnas which are being performed. They know me to be that person. Prayana Kale Picha Mam Te Viduhu. That means even at the time, Prayana Kale means when they leave this body. Prayana means the journey of this soul after they leave this body. So Prayana Kale Picha, even at the time of they leaving this body, Mam Te Viduhu. So that means those people know about it. That means they are also constantly in thought to be about me only, who is beyond this Panchabhutas, who is beyond this Devatas, who is beyond these various Yaga Yajnas. Yaga Yajnas means the very karmas. So I'm beyond all these various karmas, beyond the karmas, beyond the Devatas, beyond these Panchabhutas and all these Jivatmas in this world. They know me to be that supreme person. they always get united with that Yukta Chetasa, even at the time of death, because when the person leaves this body, the most important thought alone will come to that person at that point of time. And therefore, the most important thought for all these people is only the Bhagavan who is beyond all these things, and therefore even Prayana Kale Picha, Prayana Kale Api is using even. That means even at the time when they leave this body, when they leave, but that means that is the most important thought that will come to their mind when the person leaves this body. So that means they consider this thought to be the greatest thought, and therefore even at the time when they leave this body, because they are always united with me, and therefore they even that's what Bhagavan says. That means they are completely united in me all points of time. There is no time when they don't think about me. That's what Bhagavan is saying about the person who is getting away from this, this Maya. Then they take shelter under Bhagavan and always keep worshipping Bhagavan. Then at the time of death also, they think of death means leaving this body. This Jivatma thinks about me as the person who is the supreme commander, who is beyond this, this body, beyond this world, beyond these various devatas, beyond all these various karmas and the various actions that are being performed yajnas. And therefore he is saying that person is always in remembrance with me. That's what Bhagavan says. So anyway, we'll talk about in detail these technical terms. Sadi Bhutam, Sadi Adi Devam, and then Sadi Yagyam. Arjuna is going to ask this question at the beginning of the chapter 8, and Bhagavan is going to explain what these three terms are. So we'll look at it in detail at that point of time. All that we need to do is Bhagavan is beyond everything. That's what the person thinks, and therefore he is the supreme person, and therefore always his thoughts are merged in him. Even when he leaves this body, he thinks about me only because I am the supreme commander. That's what the thought of that person is. So that's what he says. So now with this, we conclude the chapter 7. So as usual, we have this the concluding portion. It is Srimad Bhagavad Gita su Upanishatsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastri Sri Krishnarjuna Samvade Jnana Vijnana Yogo Nama Saptamodhyaya. That is, this the Upanishad called the Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is also considered as part of the Upanishads, because Upanishad is what is talking about the Atma Jnana, Brahma Jnanam, and then the means of reaching it. And therefore, Bhagavad Gita is also one of the Upanishads. It is Srimad Bhagavad Gita su Upanishatsu. Upanishads we also saw. Upanishad. Upa means closer. Ni means nischayam. From Shat. So sitting in front of the Guru, the disciple gets this knowledge, and that's why it's called as Upanishad. So the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, so Upanishad Brahma Vidyayam. Brahma Vidya is the great knowledge, as well as the knowledge about the Brahman, and therefore it's called as Brahma Vidyayam. Yoga Shastri. Yoga Shastri, the means of reaching the Bhagavan as such. So Bhagavan is also talking about, in fact, this particular chapter, both the words are quite apt, because he talked about Brahma Vidya, he talked about Bhagavan himself, starting from the beginning, Apareyam Mitustanyam, Prakritim Vidyam Jiva Bhutam Mahabaho. That means he talked about his lower nature, higher nature, and also his nature alone. So that is what that we saw, that Brahma Vidya, and also Yoga Shastri. So in fact, when he said that Devi Kesha Gunambi Mama Maya Duratya Mameva Ye Prapadyanti, that means a person who surrenders to me gets over this Maya. That means he gave that Yoga Shastra also. Yoga Shastra is Krishna Arjuna Samvadi, in the conversation between Krishna and Arjuna. Jnana Vijnana Yoga. Jnanam is this the great knowledge. Vijnanam is Visesha Jnanam. That means the special knowledge about the Bhagavan as well as the means of reaching, and that's why it's called as Jnana Vijnana Yoga. Yoga means that is one of the, after the 18th yoga, this is the 7th chapter is talking, Saptamodhyaya. That is the 7th chapter. That's how the 7th chapter concludes. Let's take a brief recapitulation of what we learned in the 7th chapter. But before that, just briefly, let us see what we covered so far in this Gita. The first chapter was Arjuna's Vishada Yoga, where Arjuna was lamenting, saying that he is not going to fight the battle. He is not going to fight against his own grandsire, as well as the this guru, as well as this his kith and kin, and therefore I am going to. It's better for me to leave this battlefield and then go to the forest and start meditating. That was the kind of depression we had in chapter 1. In chapter 2, Bhagavan completely took over once he said, Sishyaste Prapannoham. That means I have surrendered unto you, and I am your disciple, and therefore you tell me what is good for me. I am confused as to what my dharma is. Thereafter, Bhagavan takes over from Sloka number 10 of chapter 2. He starts initially explaining to him about the immortality of the soul, the Jivatma. Jivatma is never perishable. Although the body may perish, the body is bound to perish at a point of time, and therefore don't worry about, having the feeling that you are killing your kith and kin. They had so many births earlier, they are going to have so many births in future also. There is no question of killing them for doing it for a right, just cause. So that's what he is saying in the Brahma Vidya. Then he talked about the Karma Yoga, how to perform the various yoga, the actions without expecting any reward for that, without any expectation of the fruits of the action. That's what Bhagavan talked about, this Karma Yoga, a little bit of Karma Yoga in chapter 2 also. Then he talked about this Stha Prajna. That means a person who is already established in this Jivatma Swarupam, what are his natures and so on. So he explained to him. Then we moved on to chapter 3, where Bhagavan talked about the Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga, he gave in detail that the person who performs these actions for the purpose of his own selfish motives, then he keeps on getting into the samsara chakra, is born again and again. Whereas a person who does it as a duty, as well as an offering, as a purpose of for the welfare of the society as such, that is karma yoga. And also, if you're not, you can also leave all the fruits of the actions, surrender it unto me, and therefore will get completely. That is, the actions don't bind you, and therefore once actions don't bind you, then you are slowly getting away from the clutches of this karma. So that's what Bhagavan talked about in chapter 2. Even the realized masters like Janaka and other kings have also, although they have they did it as they did the karma yoga because as an example to the society, and because if a person doesn't do that, later on in the posterity, people will think that no, people did not do. Even Krishna says, even I don't have anything to gain from this world because I'm already fulfilled. I mean, abapta samasta kama. But still I perform all these actions because later on people will come and see even Krishna did not do that, Krishna did not do that, and therefore I got to perform as an setting an example to the entire society. So that is what chapter 3 was. Chapter 4 talked about the knowledge aspect of it. That is, when a person performs an action, there is a knowledge aspect of it. That is something which is action per se is only inert because the karma is only jadam. Whereas there is the person who is doing it has got this the knowledge aspect of this karma, where he sees the inaction in action and action in action. That person is said to be the greatest jnani, and therefore he talked about the knowledge aspect of this karma yoga, as well as the various types of yajnas that can be performed. This it can be do a pranayama, it can be jnana yajna. Everything ultimately is among all the dravya yajnas, jnana yajna is the best. That's what Bhagavan talks about in chapter 4. Then he moved on to chapter 5, which is karma sannyasa yoga, where surrendering the ego. It is performing all the actions because giving the agency to this gunas. The actions arise out of these gunas, and I am not this guna. The gunas arise out of Maya. I am something which is different from that. I am this Atma, and therefore giving up the ego is that is the doership of this various actions. So the Karma Yoga was giving up the fruits of the action. Slowly we started thinking about giving up the doership. I am not the doer. It is being done through my body as an instrument. So that is giving up the doership is the karma sannyasa yoga. That is renunciation in action and not renunciation of action. That is, while doing the actions, you renounce that I am not the doer. So that's what it is. That is chapter 5. Then with all this, the actions that are being taken, Bhagavan said that karma yogi is none other than the sannyas yoga. Anasita karma palam karyam karma karoti sa sannyasi cha yogi cha nan nindagni nachakri. That is, the person who is doing this action without any fruits of action, the karma yogi is same as the sannyasi. But the sannyasi is also supposed to give up the fruits of the action, and therefore both sannyasi and karma yogis both are same. That's what Bhagavan said. Then he talked about these are the two ways of doing it, going through the path of knowledge, path of this karma. Then he talked about the performance of this meditation. So how does one perform the meditation? So that he gave in detail about you sit in a quiet place, state in a without anybody, that is be alone in that place. Then he said how to you put this this kusha grass at the bottom, then this deer skin on top of that, put a clean cloth. That the seat must be neither too high nor too low, so you should sit on that firm place. Then keep your this base of your body, the neck as well as the head erect position. Then start meditating on that. Then he said what that is matchitaha matparayana. That means think about me and then keeping me as the goal. So that's what if he does that, then all this when the realization dawns on him, even the worst ever sorrow that we feel from outside may not be a sorrow at all for him, because he's always reveling in that atmic bliss. That's what he said, that when a person performs this meditation regularly. Then Arjuna asked this question, Krishna, what you say is fine, but then I think controlling the mind is very difficult. It's like controlling the hurricane. And therefore Krishna answered the same. Yes, Arjuna, what you say is asamsayam samagramam mano durgraham chalam. That means very mana, because of its chanchala nature, because unsteady nature will be difficult to control. Then he gave two solutions. Abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyena chagrit. That means you are constantly at it. Abhyasa means practice, regular practice. And then vairagyam. Vairagyam means be steadfast. That means steadfast to the goal. Yes, I must do meditation. So don't give up because of so many times you failures. Don't give up. So be steadfast on the goal as well as be regular at it. Then you will be successful. That's what he said. Then another question which Arjuna asks is, supposing a person who is performing this dhyana yoga, because of his prarabdha, or during the process, because of some desires, he gets away from this yoga, then he neither had the benefit of enjoying this world, nor is ultimately reached his goal. Then that person, I think, is completely perished, because he has lost in both the worlds. So Krishna says, Name Bhakta Pranayasya. That means the person who's performing this, Kalyanakrit Tata Nakachati Durgatim. That means a person who is doing this auspicious thing will never go to any wrong, Naraka or any other places. That person, he goes to if he has desires, he goes to all these punya, the lokas which are being obtained by a person who performs the punya karma. He stays for a long period of time in fulfilling all his desires. Then he comes back to the Suchinam Srimatam Gehi Yoga Brashto Vijay. That means he comes to the place where there is already a person, the family itself is practicing in an environment where they are already practicing this, and he continues from the place where he is left last time, and therefore there is no loss at all. And therefore, then finally in this, but he again, because of his previous karmas and previous vasanas, he continues that path and ultimately reaches me. That's what Bhagavan said in this chapter 6. So let's do the recapitulation of chapter 7 tomorrow, and then maybe day after tomorrow we'll start the chapter 8. Vasudev Vasutam Devam Kamsachanuramadhanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagatum Sarvam Sri Krishnarpnamastu. Krishna 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 Krishna.